Right, teacher, please pause the video and return the quiz paper to students. Now, let us go through the key concept here. After this, do your corrections and you will be given a worksheet to test your understanding. So make sure in the worksheet you get all correct. Alright, let's go. Now, first question, talk about skill. It says that the skill of a drawing is 1:50. So what does it mean? So say for example you have a drawing. So this is the drawing, and in the drawing 1 cm on this drawing, you can imagine this as a map. So 1 cm on this drawing actually represents 50 cm on the actual. So you can imagine that. Now if the length of the drawing is 12 cm, then the question is, then how big should it be? So if 1 cm represents 50 cm, 12 cm I will need to multiply by 50, right? So in this understanding, I will have the drawing and the actual. I can write it as 1:50. So every 1 cm on the drawing actually represents 50 cm on the actual. So if I have 12 cm, then I can understand it as I multiply by 12, and over here I multiply by 12 as well. Those of you who got 600 cm, you still don't get the mark. It's because the answer is in meters, right? So for meters, I need to convert to meter, cm to meter. So 1 cm is 100 cm. So 600 cm will be 6 meters. Now next one, if the actual length of the door is 2 meters. So again, if this door is 2 meters, then on the small drawing, then how big is it? So first I want to understand it as cm, because they are asking in cm. So 2 meters itself is actually 200 cm. So the question is, this 200 cm, should I place it under the actual or drawing, right? So I see that actually 200 cm is the actual door, so I place the 200 cm under the actual, right? So which means I will ask myself, how do I get from 50 to 200? I can get it easily by multiplying by 4. So I can also multiply by 4 here. So the answer is 4 cm. Next, let us look at the drawing. So I want to know how to draw this diagram. But first, I need to understand what is scale factor of half. So you can copy this down. So we say that the scale factor of 2 means that it is actually 2 times bigger. So can you imagine if this is my diagram? If scale factor of 2 means I will enlarge it and it will be 2 times bigger. Alright, the key word here is times. So half means it is reduced by half times, or everything I will need to divide by 2. So I could draw this diagram inside the diagram here, or I can even draw it here. So let me try and draw it over here. So let's see. So first I count the number of squares. So in this height here, there's 20 squares. So if I divide by 2, it will be only 10 squares. So first, I will draw a 10 square. Okay. Now over here, there is 40 square, right? 10, 20, 30, and 40. So if I divide by 2, that means it will be 20 squares here only, right? So this is 20 squares. Next, on the other height here, this is 40 squares as well. So which means if I divide by 2, you'll be left with 20 squares. Okay. Now last one, I just need to join it. Now I can also understand this length as such. So let me try. So I can simply just join it. I think it's simpler that way. So just join the line and I get the 2 marks. Now next one, let's see the height here. The height here is 20 squares. So which means I will start with 10 squared, right? Because I need to divide by 2. So 10 squared. But the next 3 length all are slope line, right? So let us look at the first one. Let us focus our attention in W x, right? Now let's look at wx. Wx itself, if I were to understand it, it is very difficult to divide by 2 since it's a slope line. But I could take the horizontal length and divide by 2. So my horizontal length is actually this length here, right? So I count this length altogether here there are 30 big squares. So if I divide by 2, that means I will need to have 15 squares. Over here, this is 10 square. So if I divide by 2, again it will be 5 square. So I count 15 squares to my right and 5 squares up. So this is my new point here, right? So I can label this point here. Alright, now let's try with the next one. Let me use another color. So now let us settle the orange line, this orange line here. So orange line is slanted. I can understand it as there are 40 squares. So if I divide by 2, I'll have only 20 squares to the right. And I have 20 squares up. If I divide by 2, I only have 10 square, which means I can have 20 squares to the right and 10 squares up, right? So this will be my new point. Okay, now last line I can just join it, or I can use the same idea, alright? So since this is 10 square, I will have 5 squares. This is 30 squares, so I'll have 15 squares altogether. So 5 square to the right, then 15 square up. Alright, so this is how you get the reduction of the quadrilateral. Okay, now let's go to the next question. Now next question talk about enlargement. So since this is enlargement, we say that PQRS is an enlargement of this. Alright, so PQRS will be the image. So I draw my image here, and this is my object. Now I remember scale factor is image over original. So scale factor is 2. That means it will be 2 for the scale factor. And image length, I will choose PS, right? Because they want PS. So I will choose PS. This is my PS. So PS is here. Image length. Then the original length, I need to know which length should I choose. Should I choose AB, BC, CD, or AD? Now instead of observing, I could actually use numbering, right? So I could number the idea, the order 1, 2, 3, and 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So P and S is 1 and 4, right? So if I look at my object, so P and S is 1 and 4. So for my object, it will be A and D as well. So this will be A and D, right? Now putting in the length, I will have PS over AD, and AD is 4.3. I want to find PS. One easy way is I just indicate it as a fraction. So 2 is 2 over 1. Then I can do a cross multiply. So multiply upwards. I will have PS is 4.3 times 2, which is equals to 8.6. Now using the same idea, my scale factor is image. Alright, this is always my image, and this is always my object. Now then I want to look which one is my AB. So AB actually belongs to the object, so which means this is in the denominator, right? So if I want to choose AB, AB is 1 and 2, so I will choose PQ, right? So I'll write PQ there. Putting in the length, doing a cross multiply. So multiply upwards, I'll get 2 times of AB is 8.4. And AB, if I don't want the 2, I remove the 2, I will divide the 2, right? So bringing the 2 over, I'll divide the 2. So 8.4 divided by 2, I'll get 4.2. Okay, so that's for question 3. Now last question. So the answer for A, PS is 8.6. B, AB is 4.2. Now last question, you notice that they did not give you skill factor. So skill factor is not given, right? It's not given. So in this case, we can use similar triangle. So similar triangle means I will want to know BC. So again, I want to identify. Now ABCD is enlarged to PQRS. So PQRS is the enlarged figure. So PQRS is image. ABCD is object. So if I want BC, BC is my first figure. So BC is 2 and 3. So BC will be over QR. And I want to look for the other pair which is the same length. So the other pair will be 12 AB and PQ, right? PQ. So AB and 18. So put in the lengths and then I cross multiply. I will multiply this upwards and then I will get BC is that 11.2, right? Now ABC. ABC is over here, A then B then C. So you can trace P then Q then R. So very straightforward is 68. Now BAD, B then A then D. So Q then P then S. But what is the angle? So I know that in a four-sided shape, the total angle is 360. So I will get 360 minus of the 3 angle to get this angle P. Now lastly, scale factor, image over object. So I will take image, PQ over AB. Right? Why PQ? Because PQ is given, and then I'll take AB. So take these two lengths, the scale factor is 1.5. Right, teacher, you may pause the video, let students try, and then give out the worksheet. Now it's your turn to try solo work, then submit by the end of lesson.